Dear students and teachers, today we will read chapter Prophet Moses. The question answers are given with the mention of years in exams. If you listen to the readings 3 to 4 times, you will be able to understand and be able to solve the MCQs on your own. Still, if you feel a need of it, I will be able to provide through email if you request it in comments or otherwise. Thanks. Prophet Moses was born at the time when the baby boys of Israelites were being killed at birth under the orders of Ramesses II, the Pharaoh of Egypt. The parents of Moses were very much worried at his birth. The divine revelation ordained them to put the baby into a box and throw it into the river. It was told that God would protect the baby and finally arrange his union with the mother. The mother did as directed. The box flowed and stranded near the royal palace. Queen Asiya, the wife of Pharaoh, sent for the box in her palace, and Moses was brought up in the palace. His own mother was appointed to suckle the baby. Moses was adopted son of the Pharaoh. He was brought up in the despotic environment of the royal palace, but his nature was inclined towards good deeds. Therefore, as soon as he grew sensible enough, he got fed up with the environment. The sentiments of sympathy for the welfare of Israelites grew strong in him, and he started expressing his views openly. As a consequence, Pharaoh got annoyed with him and issued orders for his arrest. But Moses migrated to Midian, where he got married with Sapphura, daughter of Prophet Shoaib. He lived there for 10 years. Thereafter, he set for Egypt along with his family. On their way, they encamped at Mount Sinai. He went out in search of fire, and on the way he saw light in a direction. He approached towards the light, where he heard a voice, "O Moses, I am the sustainer of the worlds." Thus he was chosen for prophethood and was endowed several miracles. Pharaoh and the people of Egypt did not pay any heed to the teachings of Moses. Very few people acted on what he said. Majority went against him and started torturing him. Consequently, he was commanded by God to take Israelites from Egypt to Palestine. He followed the command and led Israelites out through the Red Sea. When the Pharaoh knew of their exodus, he chased them with his army the next day. Israelites got afraid to see this, but Moses consoled them. When he reached the seashore along with his community, they found the water receded. They moved along the dry path. Pharaoh also ordered his army to follow them. But as soon as his army reached amid water, the tide rose high, and the Pharaoh was drowned along with his army. The book that was revealed to Moses is called Torah. There is the concept of oneness of God in it. The worship of anything other than God is strictly forbidden. There are 10 famous points of Moses called the 10 Commandments. It is commanded therein, "Thou shalt respect thy parents, that God may increase your life. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not stand false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not look evil eye at thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not look at evil eye at aught belonging to thy neighbor." In these teachings, right of offspring are enjoined. Cleanliness and purity is commanded. Drinking of wine is forbidden. Interest is declared illegal. Similarly, there are instructions about the slaves and prisoners also. Egypt is considered as the earliest home of human civilization. Its main point is that imperialism was practiced there in a new and different manner. Every tribe obeyed its chief only. Oppression was common everywhere. The Pharaoh was the greatest ruler of his time. It was the duty of everyone to obey his orders. People were vexed by prolonged cruelty. In such a period, the teachings of Moses were of great importance in history. The impact of those teachings was revolutionary. It changed the people's minds. Human affairs took a new turn. There emerged such a thing as law and constitution that never existed in the world before. That is why Moses is called the first jurist and constitutionalist of the world. All sorts of rules and regulations were introduced in the social and political field after the revolution of these 10 commandments. It was for the first time that adultery, theft, murder, etc. were considered social, moral, and spiritual evils. Severe punishments were awarded to prevent these crimes. Moses bitterly opposed the imperialist rule and made every effort to eradicate its impacts. He asked the people not to bow down before anybody except God, and not to consider any human being as God. In short, the moral system of Moses not only reformed the system of government but also promoted human equality and established the rule of justice. How did the teachings of Prophet Moses affect Pharaoh? Pharaoh was a cruel king who was worshipped as God. The teachings of Prophet Moses directly affected Pharaoh. When Moses taught oneness of God, Pharaoh's religious authority was affected. When Moses opposed imperialism, Pharaoh's official authority was affected. And when Moses preached human equality, Pharaoh's social position was affected. How was Prophet Moses brought up? Or discuss the early life of Prophet Moses. Prophet Moses was born at the time when baby boys of Israelites were being killed under orders of Pharaoh. In order to save him, his parents, through divine guidance, put him in a basket and threw him in River Nile. Queen Asiya had Moses taken out of the water and adopted him as her son. His own mother was appointed to suckle the baby. He was brought up in palace of Pharaoh. The 10 commandments given to Moses by God were: I am the Lord your God. You shall not have strange gods before me. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Remember to keep holy the Lord's day. Honor your father and your mother. You shall not kill. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. You shall not covet your neighbor's goods. Discuss the teachings of Prophet Moses. Moses asked people not to bow down before anybody except God. He bitterly opposed the imperialist rule. Through his teachings, it was for the first time that adultery, theft, murder, etc. were considered social, moral, and spiritual evils. Cleanliness and purity was commanded. Drinking of wine was forbidden. Interest was declared illegal. Similarly, there were instructions about the slaves and prisoners also. The moral system of Moses reformed the system of government, promoted human equality, and the rule of justice. What was the name of the book descended on Prophet Moses? The book that was revealed to Moses is called Torah. This is the book of guidance for Israelites. The worship of anything other than God is strictly forbidden through this book. There are 10 famous points of Moses called the 10 Commandments, which are the basis of whole of the teachings of Moses. Why did Prophet Moses oppose the system of imperialism? Moses bitterly opposed the imperialist rule and made every effort to eradicate its impacts. Because people were vexed by prolonged cruelty, oppression was common everywhere. The Pharaoh was greatest ruler of his time and worshipped as God. Since Moses could not stand cruelty and oppression, therefore he opposed the system of imperialism.